Well, I have good news. Me and Sean didn't die. Life just got busy, and we had to push the podcast a couple times. So we're back, episode 35 of Banter from the Bench podcast. We're actually in a fun time of year now. We've got football coming back, both college football and NFL. So we're definitely going to dive into some preseason talk. There's another big storyline that's going around the NFL right now. Shohei Ohtani found himself back in the news yet again for not good reasons, and then a couple other big headlines, which I don't want to spoil anything. So, Sean, let's get ready to roll, dude.
Sounds straight.
It's Wednesday. It's 6:13 p.m. Central Time as we're recording this. And I got to say, I think we should have went live with this. There is not anything else going on in the podcast world right now that would drive viewers away from us. So I think we're maybe missing out by not being live right now. But, we'll go on with the show anyways. I know we would probably be the most viewed podcast if we were live, but we'll just leave that to our thoughts and continue on here. So, as Kevin mentioned, a lot of stuff going on in sports. Finally, we got through the period where it was pretty much just baseball. So now we got NFL preseason is underway. Week 1 of the preseason was this past weekend, and we are in the middle of week 2, getting ready to gear up here. So, week 1 of the preseason, like I mentioned, it has concluded. Kevin, what are your thoughts? Anything that stood out to you from week 1 of the preseason, whether it be player specific, team specific, anything like that?
I mean, first and foremost, this isn't necessarily just preseason. There's some camp stuff too, but like there's already been some pretty significant injuries for some teams. I've seen some linemen go down. Eagles might be losing. I think it was Landon Jackson for the year, but he's kind of
Nope,
looking at his
not for the
options.
year. It's not quite as bad. I forget
Yeah,
what the exact injury was, but he will be back.
he was. I know he was looking at a second opinion on that too. Player wise, I mean, Daniel Jones is looking like Daniel Jones even against some reserves in the preseason. Kind of a fun college football name, Will Shipley, a former Clemson Tiger, had a really nice game. He had 7 carries for 48 yards. A couple other guys that kind of stuck out to me. Unfortunately, Shador Sanders had a really nice game. He walked in that stadium like
He
he
did.
was walking
He
into the
did.
Super Bowl.
He made some good throws, some really impressive throws. One of his touchdowns, he kind of fit through a tight window, and then he had some bad throws too.
Yeah.
A little bit of a mixed bag with him, but overall, I was watching that game because there wasn't much else on, and I walked away pretty impressed with what he did. Unfortunately, he got an oblique injury today, so it sounds like he's not going to play in this weekend's preseason game. So
Yeah.
Browns fans can't quite have everything nice.
Yeah. And honestly, like all things considered, I still don't think he's an NFL quarterback, but like maybe he proves me wrong. I have no idea. Ted
He's got to
McMillan
be
got
gotta wear the
no.
watch.
I'm good on that, bro. Ted McMillan looked really nice. He had 2 receptions for 43 yards. Jackson Dart, I think, had a pretty nice outing for the Giants. And
He
then
did.
I think there was one other guy that I wanted to bring up. I thought it was interesting. Kyler Murray. He got more playing time than I think. He finished 7 of 8, 96 yards.
Had a
Uh,
bad pick, but it's
yeah,
preseason.
a really bad pick. Oh, Tyler Shaw, quarterback for the Saints. He finished 15 of 22, 165 yards and a touchdown. He wasn't one of the top quarterbacks in this year's draft. Saints kind of took him earlier than expected, but he had a pretty nice outing on his first game as a NFL quarterback here in the preseason.
Yeah, he looks pretty good. I think he had an interception, maybe. Made some good throws. I know there were some camp videos of him looking pretty rough. So I kind of watched a little bit of that. I was intrigued by seeing what he was going to look like. And he ended up looking pretty good. One thing that stuck out to me is Stetson Bennett played for the Rams. I kind of forgot about him. He
Yeah.
disappeared for quite a bit of time, and no one really knows what happened there. Obviously, something outside of football was going on for his absence to be that long, and then he just kind of stepped right in and played pretty well. Um, let's try to think here. Eagles might have a pretty good backup in Tanner McKee. He had 120 of 25, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns. They run a pretty good offense over there, so might be a beneficiary from that. But either way, Eagles look like they might have themselves a decent backup. I know he got some time in the regular season last year too. What else was I looking at? We saw guys like Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Geno Smith all get playing time. Bryce Young played, I believe. Anthony Richardson played and got injured. That was kind of the bigger quarterback injury storyline. Not that it necessarily is big, but I guess by default the Colts starter got hurt. JJ McCarthy back on the field for the first time. Since last preseason when he got hurt, he went 4 of 7 for 30 yards. I think it was kind of a little bit of a mixed bag with him too. Bo Nix looks like he struggled quite a bit. I just looking at the box score here. I didn't actually watch that game, but he went 6 of 11 for 31 yards, averaged about 2.8 yards per completion. So not ideal, but there could be more to that story there. Like I said, I didn't watch it. People are getting hyped about Justin Fields. He's running in touchdowns. People are thinking that he's got it figured out. I'm not going to lie, if the Bears couldn't figure it out, there's a few organizations that I think definitely wouldn't be able to, and one of those is the Jets.
Yeah.
So I just find it kind of funny that people are like, oh my gosh, he's running in touchdowns. He looks good. Like, he did that with us too. Jordan Love, other end of that game, looked terrible. I think he went about 1 of 7 maybe. And he also got injured. He had a procedure done on his thumb. Sounds like he might not miss some time, but you can't be thrilled about that happening this early in the preseason. And then obviously another storyline we had was your guy Cam Ward got some playing time. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all. Number 1 overall pick, made his unofficial NFL debut.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he didn't skip a beat. He looked really comfortable. He looked accurate. He was making plays with his feet. He's he, he looks like he's going to fit in well in the NFL. And being the first overall pick, being a quarterback, like there's always a lot of pressure there. But it seems like he's going to be able to hold his own in the NFL, which is cool to see. Because I mean, with his story, he definitely deserves it.
Yeah, now it looks like Kyle Trask maybe outdueled him. He's the highlighted
Oh
quarterback
yeah.
here, so
Okay.
sorry, but Kyle still got the limelight there. Anything else? Anything you feel like we're missing here? Obviously, we know the Bears played. We'll get into that in the Chicago portion. But anything else you want to add from preseason week 1? I feel like maybe there's not too many storylines that are unfolding quite yet. I mean, Cleveland's quarterback situation's interesting just because, I don't know, by default it's probably going to be Joe Flacco, but if Shador ends up, he's hurt, so he won't play this week. But if he has a really good game again, like, it wouldn't be crazy to have him start right away. Like, Flacco could just hang out and mentor these guys too.
Yeah, I think that's something to keep an eye on. I think a team to keep an eye on this preseason is, and honestly, I think this team is either going to have a pretty solid season or sell like crazy at the deadline, is the Miami
Bears.
Dolphins. Miami Dolphins, if Tua doesn't go get off to a hot start and that team doesn't, start putting together wins quickly, I think that's a franchise that could just completely restart. So I think that's a team to watch here as the preseason continues. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's like week 1, it's always hard because very few guys actually get significant playing time. Now, you'll have week 2 and week 3, and some of the starters will start to get more and more playing time. I think another team to really keep an eye on is a divisional team, Detroit Lions. They've got a lot of the same players, but they had to replace their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. And they came off a pretty brutal playoff loss. So I think Detroit's a team to watch here in the preseason to see, how they kind of go into the start of this year.
Yeah, I guess we can touch on the Dolphins a little bit more. They're the team that the Bears played, but we don't have to go too in depth with them when we cover the Bears. I thought I was kind of surprised that a lot of their starters played against Chicago when we were resting 9-ish starters on both ends of the ball. Obviously, they did move the ball a little bit downfield, but I wasn't that, I wouldn't be that satisfied with how the Dolphins' mostly first-team offense looked against Bears reserves. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Obviously, that team's going to go as Tua goes, and we'll see what his health looks like. That's always going to be a question mark as long as he plays. But overall,
Yeah.
I just felt like there was maybe a little bit more I would have wanted to see if I were a Dolphins fan. But it's week 1 of the preseason, so we can't get too, too nitpicky or crazy here.
There's a lot of teeter-tottering teams this year too. Like you've got Denver, year 2 of Bo Nix. We'll see how they do. You've got the Chargers. It seems like, Herbert might have a few more weapons this year. Cardinals, who knows what the hell is going to go on with them. You've got the Rams. We don't know what their quarterback situation is going to look like depending on the health of Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
49ers
Big
are
question
injured.
mark there.
100%. 49ers, a lot of injuries. You've got the Falcons. Michael Penix is going to lead them. Who knows what they'll look like? Bryce Young, is he actually going to be the quarterback of the future for the Panthers? And then obviously, like a team like Houston, CJ Stroud looked really good his rookie year, struggled his second year. So what version of CJ Stroud are we going to get? So I think that's kind of fun for the NFL, and like maybe something we keep an eye on here for the last 2 preseason games is like these teeter-tottering teams, like Patriots. You've got second-year quarterback now. They've got Mike Vrabel. Are they going to look better than they did last year? I think there's a lot of really fun storylines for teams that like could actually put it together this year.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, we might start to see more of these guys take the field here in week 2, and definitely by week 3, I would think we would get more starters if we don't get a lot of them already this upcoming weekend. So it'll be fun watching. I know I'll be watching as much as I can. Bears are Sunday night, so I'll probably have some Sunday scaries, but got to start getting those out of the way early.
It's the Bills, right?
Yeah, Sunday night.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about a storyline that hit the media. I think it was last week. Micah Parsons requesting a trade from the Cowboys. I think I want to start before I ask you, like, where does he end up? I'll start here. Do you think he actually gets traded?
I do. I think he really actually wants to leave, and it could go either way. Jerry Jones is a stubborn old man, but for Micah Parsons to put out a tweet and publicly say, I don't want to be here anymore, I think means he really doesn't want to be there anymore. And he's just, and from reading some of the story and the news from this situation, just sounds like Jerry Jones isn't the best guy to deal with. Like he tries to do a lot of shady stuff, tries to go around agents and work directly with players. And Parsons is just maybe kind of sick of giving so much to the Cowboys without getting a lot back. So I think he's kind of over that and ready for a new chapter. And ultimately, I think if the Cowboys were a smart team, they would actually trade him because that'll set them up better a little bit for the future. They obviously are heavily invested in Dak Prescott. What ends up happening with him is kind of going to dictate what that team looks like and how good or how bad they are. But if they want to set themselves up for the future and maybe try to start building something a little different, maybe they realize, our core is not working the way we hoped it did. All right, let's try something new. Then you got to look at trading Micah Parsons. I mean, a lot of people are comparing the Khalil Mack trade package. I think Parsons will end up getting a little bit more. So I think at the very least, Dallas says the conversation starts with two first-round picks, and then you go from there.
Now, let's assume he's going to be traded. Give me 2 teams that you think are likely for him to land, and then two teams that you would love to see him land at. Like that would be really fun.
So a lot of people are speculating Eagles and Commanders for a trade. I don't see that
Yeah,
personally.
I don't either.
I just don't think if they actually trade Parsons, they're going to want to trade him in the division. He's already going to command a lot. You can double or triple what that price would be to trade him to one of those teams, and I just feel like I just can't see it actually happening. Two likely teams. See, this is tough because it's going to cost a lot of capital to give up, and then it's also going to cost a lot of money on top of that because you're going to get Parsons with an extension. He's probably going to be the highest paid pass rusher in the league. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I look at a team like the Houston Texans. I don't know much about their financial situation, but I look at them as a team that could make a big splash because they're really trying to win with Stroud under a rookie contract. They only have X amount of years left of that. So I could see them trying to do something like that. Unfortunately, I can also see a team like the Minnesota Vikings making a play for Parsons. They're big question marks. What's JJ McCarthy look like? What's his health going to be? He's heading into his rookie year. I think if he shows flashes, I don't know if maybe they like what they see in him in the preseason, or if Parsons holds out into the year, maybe they like what they see after a few games and are like, okay, now let's really go for it here. I could see a team like Minnesota doing that. So those are two
Keep in
teams I
mind
feel.
with the Texans, they invested heavily in their ends. I mean, you've got Daniil Hunter and you've got Will Anderson on both ends. So
Yeah, you can add more.
one of those guys is going to have to move in, but and that'd be pretty nasty to see him on the Texans. All right, now what about like two teams that I think would that you think would be like really fun to see him on?
It's not going to happen because they're they have a lot of money on their roster, but like Buffalo Bills would be
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah,
They've kind of needed a stud pass rusher for a bit.
yeah.
They signed Joey Bosa. I believe it was just a 1 year deal, and that was kind of their big move. But I think again Parsons, that'd be awesome. That's just there's a negative chance of that happening. Um, Another team that would be fun. I know they just started paying some of their players on the defensive side of the ball, so I don't know if they'd be willing to do this. But Denver would be another fun team, I think. I'm not going to put the Bears in the mix here. Obviously, that would be my favorite destination.
Yeah.
But a team like Denver, I think, would be fun too.
That's actually one of my teams that I think is likely to land him. Denver has shown a history of investing in high profile defensive line guys. I think that there's a chance that they dip their toes in the water with this one too. The other team I think is actually pretty likely to look into a scenario like this is Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a history of really good defensive line pieces. And of course, the question comes up is like, well, what about Watt? Well, that makes him expendable now. They can trade him for picks and then go get Micah Parsons or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see Pittsburgh, make that phone call. Two teams I think could be really fun. New England Patriots with Mike Vrabel as their head coach. I think Micah Parsons on the Patriots could be a ton of fun. And then the other one would make Paul, your dog, really proud. I think Micah Parsons on the Raiders would be so sick. With him and Max Crosby would just be fucking elite to see those two work together. So that'd be my other really fun team to see Micah Parsons go to.
I see like a team like Tampa maybe makes a
Yeah.
move for something like that too. Like they probably can afford that, and they kind of need some help, I think. But yeah, I just feel like the market's going to be small. There's going to be a handful of teams that are willing to do what it takes, and it's not like every team in the league is going to be calling.
In reality, too, it's like Jerry's got to think about like which one of these teams do I think will finish the season the worst because like you've got
That's
draft
yeah,
picks.
and if that were the case, I would 100% go Raiders.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could float the Broncos because like Bo Nix is only a second year quarterback, so like if he doesn't do well, then they're screwed. But yeah, Raiders hands down. Okay. I think that's good for Micah Parsons talk. Let's talk about a topic, Sean. I know you're really excited to get into this one because you're not a fan of him at all. What's going on with Shohei Ohtani?
Snake Shohei's at it again. He found himself in a weird situation. I'm just pulling it up here so I can read a little bit to the people.
Yeah, I know
Um,
it's like some kind of like real estate, like development situation or something of that sort.
yeah, so somehow Shohei Ohtani had found himself in another weird financial situation. So he and his agent are accused of sabotaging a luxury real estate deal in Hawaii. They're being sued by an investor and a broker, and they're claiming that they unfairly forced them out of the house of a housing development. It sounds like Otani was and his agent were maybe using his fame and power to force them out for their own benefit, whatever that may be. I don't know if it's financial benefit or just limiting the amount of people that are in on it. But yeah, so they are getting sued by these investors for forcing them out of a deal, and I just think, wow. So how is the MLB going to protect Shohei Ohtani this time? And are people just going to be like, oh, he's his agent. He's just surrounded by the wrong people. Bullshit. He was the one that gambled. Now he's doing stuff like this. I've said he's a snake for years. We're finally just starting to see the light of it. So for me, I'm not surprised that this happened. I just hope they actually crack down on him, but I know they won't.
Yeah, and honestly, like even if this is not true, like let's play devil's advocate. Like, what an incredible play by the other side to just get hush hush money. You know what I mean? Like if this is just actually bullshit, then like man, well done because you know Shohei and his agent are going to be reaching out to these people like, here, can we give you $20 million to shut the hell up? And you know, that's not a bad way to get a quick 20 mil. Obviously, more details will come out. This was just released, I think, yesterday on the 12th. Um, so I'm sure we'll find out more details. I don't think it'll happen as soon as this weekend. MLB tends to dive pretty deep into their investigations, which is a good thing, but I don't think the outcomes are necessarily true all the time. So stay
I think
tuned.
this is true.
We'll I just mean like outcomes in terms of like MLB found that Shohei was innocent. I don't think is necessarily like I think the
He
MLB
wasn't.
just I think the
He
MLB
wasn't.
just covers their players a lot of
He was
times. So
guilty. There's
yeah.
no. This is a whole nother topic, but there's no way you don't notice in 2025 multi-million dollars going missing from your account. You don't get a notification or anything like that. It's 2025. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Um
Pete Rose should have had an interpreter. He'd be fine.
did you see the John Mateer stuff this week?
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting to keep an eye on. So for those of you who haven't been keeping track, John Mateer, he's quarterback for Oklahoma Sooners. He was caught with previous Venmos from to and from friends, and it would show like matchups. So it'd be like USC versus UCLA bet, and they found a couple different Venmos that looked like him placing bets, and he came out with a statement. I think it was yesterday, saying that like it was just a joke, like an inside joke. He didn't actually place bets. I think he probably did, but I guess we'll find out. Either Oklahoma's gonna brush it under the rug, or they're gonna do something to protect their quarterback. But kind of sketchy.
Yeah, now everyone's out there making fake Venmo memes of what people were spending money on, but I don't know. I think it's going to be kind of hard to prove that it happened. I'm not quite sure how it'll work. They would have to track down like whoever the money went to and find those transactions from that time.
Yeah.
But I think I saw somewhere that like the conversation, if he were guilty, starts at a 50% suspension for the season. Um, it could go either way. It could be lower. It could be more. But that's like kind of where like the NCAA in these situations would start their conversations, which if that's the case, then Oklahoma's season's over.
They're screwed.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's going to play well for them, but we'll see. We'll see if
you know
anything.
what? I bet you. Now that I think about it, I bet that money went to Shohei somehow. We should investigate that.
For his bets.
Yeah, I'm gonna start that. I'm gonna tell him, hey, make sure this money didn't end up in Shohei's account.
Actually, Shohei was
probably
probably the bookie.
He probably wouldn't know because he doesn't have notifications on his phone. You know.
While
I don't have $3 million to lose, but I can assure you, if I did, I would probably know that it went missing.
I bet you it was probably more than that too.
I think it was like 3.5 or something.
Yeah, that's what was reported.
You just can't. I'm sorry. I can't believe that he didn't get a text. He didn't get a phone call. He didn't get a notification. Nothing.
His bank didn't alert him.
That's what I'm saying. It's 2025.
Yeah.
2024 maybe when it happened. Like, that's not possible.
No. He for sure was up to some shit. Well, while we're on topic of college quarterbacks, me and Sean did this last year. Had some fun with it. I think
won.
Well, okay, yeah, Hunter. You got to go first, and you picked Travis Hunter. No shit.
I don't even think I picked him first. I actually think I picked your stupid quarterback first.
No, I picked him. You didn't pick him at all.
No, I picked him from Georgia. Yeah, I did.
Oh, our current quarterback. I thought you were talking about Cam Ward.
No, your stupid current quarterback.
Oh yeah, I don't know what to expect with that dude. All right, well let's do this. I think let's go and pick two like true real Heisman candidates that we think have like a really clear, easy shot at winning the Heisman this year. And then I want you to pick one dark horse.
Dark horse, all right. That's fair.
And I'll be kind. I'll let you go first again.
All right, well, I'll be kind with my first pick then. I'm going to go Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State.
Yep.
I think he's going to be the best receiver in football. Obviously, he's got a new quarterback coming in, so we'll see what that looks like. But when that dude's on, position aside, he's probably the most exciting player in football. So I'm going to go with Jeremiah Smith.
Okay. Second pick?
Oh, you can go. We can snake it.
I'll take Cade Klubnik. I think he got some good experience last year. That's what you wanted.
That's who I was going to take.
I think he got some good, and I was going to take Jeremiah Smith. I think Cade got a lot of great experience last year. I think he's going to break out this year, unless something crazy happens or he has like a DJ Uliangalele type of season. I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football.
I agree with that. You got it. You got it again. You're up for your second one.
All right. I won't go. Yeah, I won't go quarterback again. Let me go with. I'm going to take Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, running back out of Notre Dame. Ended the year on fire. I mean, before he got hurt. Ended the year on fire last year. Running backs typically do pretty well in the Heisman. Obviously, you're going to have Jeremiah Smith that you got to get votes over, so that part's going to be tough. But I'll take the best running back out the gates in college football right now, Jeremiah Love.
I'll go quarterback with my next pick just because more often than not they win it, right? So I'm going to go Drew Aller from Penn State. I think he had a really good year last year. He's obviously coming back, got a lot of experience, got a deep playoff experience. So in terms of him being able to handle all the hype on him heading into the year, I think he's capable. Obviously, he was really good last year, so I expect similar results. Penn State should have a really good team too. So yeah, I think Drew Aller. I think he's got a good shot. Penn State's a team that could compete for a Big Ten title, and if you're able to do that, chances are you got a good shot at being in the Heisman conversation. So,
what about your dark horse?
So,
I know what you want to say. I know.
I
you
was gonna
fucking
go
wanted to.
Jeremiah Love.
Oh,
So
wow.
Jeremiah Love was gonna be mine. So you kind of threw a wrench there. And just for the fun of it, I'll go DJ Lagway from Florida.
That's what I figured.
But I promise I had Jeremiah Love in my mind for that. Lagway's got all the talent in the world. We'll see if he can put it together. Um, if he puts Florida on the map and Florida's in the playoff and they win a game, maybe I think he's got a really good shot at being in the Heisman conversation. So I'll go with him as a dark horse.
I'm going to take another SEC quarterback, actually. I'm going to go with
Lenoris.
Lenoris Sellers. Yeah. I think he's electric. I think he's a human highlight reel. He had a pretty good year last year. I think very similar to DJ Lagway. Like he's got all the talent in the world. It's just, whether or not is he going to have a good season. So I'll take Lenore Sellers as my dark horse. Um, Honorable mentions. Do you want to throw out any honorable mentions? I have a couple.
Yeah, I think I'd go Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. He had a pretty good year last year, maybe a little disappointing for the team as a whole, but he's got some good experience too. I think he'll have a good shot at winning the Heisman, but I think Heisman's an individual award, but it's going to depend on how LSU looks too. If he's
100%.
lighting the world on fire and they're playing meaningless games, I think that kind of hurts his cause. But LSU is a team that could be in the mix, so I'll go with their quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier.
I'm going to take a quarterback for literally the exact same reason. It all depends on how his team plays. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Dante Moore, quarterback for Oregon. He's either going to light the world on fire and he's going to just ignite himself into one of the top candidates for the Heisman, or he's going to deal with some struggles and have a little bit of a rough season. I'll take Dante Moore as an honorable mention, and then I'm also going to take Ryan Williams. For some reason, people stopped talking about Ryan Williams, and this guy is just electric for college football. So I think you could see his name kind of floated in the Heisman. It's a long season, so I'm sure he'll be up there in the odds at some point.
My last one for kind of honorable mention, I'm gonna go Dylan Raiola from Nebraska. Nebraska's got a pretty easy schedule. They have a lot of games they should win. If he's running the ship there and playing well and they're winning a lot of games and Nebraska's back on the map, that's a guy that could definitely be in the Heisman conversation. So I'm rolling with Dylan Raiola for another honorable mention.
You might want to lay that bet. It's somewhere between plus 4,000 and plus 6,500. And Arch Manning. Nobody mentioned Arch Manning. He's leading the odds in Heisman winner this year right now. So some other guys that round out like the top 10. You've got Garrett Nussmeier. You've got Ty Simpson, Carson Beck. I would have loved to say Carson Beck like I did Cam Ward last year. I just haven't seen enough of him. And
Does he
there's
got
a lot.
an elbow issue this year too?
He's good now. He's been practicing
But he
full.
had an elbow issue.
Yeah. He started throwing in full practices, I think 3 weeks ago. Look, the storyline is this. Last year, Georgia had some of the most dropped passes they've ever had in their program's history. Their offensive line was pretty rough, but at the same time, Carson Beck looked pretty rough. So is it just a storyline of, his receivers are dropping passes and his line's not protecting him? Or is it the storyline of he was way overhyped as a recruit and he's not really a good college quarterback? And unfortunately, being a Miami fan, we get to find out. We're giving him everything he needs. He's got weapons. He's got line. He's got running backs. So if he doesn't play well this year, it's truly on him.
You even gave him a girlfriend at one point.
Yeah, girlfriend that helped him get there. And we gave him money, a lot of money. So Carson Beck, you better figure some shit out this year.
Well, you're going to learn quick because you guys got a pretty front-loaded schedule.
Yeah, Notre Dame week 1. That'll be really, really interesting. They also, they don't have a standout quarterback, right? So like this game could go numerous different ways. They obviously had a deep run last year. Um, a lot of their players, I think, with the exception of, did some of their linemen get drafted? No, I think they brought back a lot of their offensive line too. So yeah, week one will be interesting, man. Let's dive into AP. AP came out this week. Um, I can pull it up here. Preseason. Okay. So do you want me to run through the top 25?
Sure.
Okay. Top 25. Quickly: Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, Miami, ASU, Illinois at 12, South Carolina, Michigan, Florida at 15, SMU, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Indiana at 20, Ole Miss at 21, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Tennessee, and Boise State at 25. Um, there's some pretty big surprises in here, personally.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I see obviously they had a good year last year, but like Indiana historically is not a good football team. They start out the year ranked 20th. That's kind of interesting. I think personally, I think LSU is a little overhyped at number 9. Um, what's your takeaway here?
Yeah, I agree with that. I look at two teams sitting at 16 and 17, SMU and Kansas State, who have some guys returning. I think they could maybe be a little bit higher. Um, Boise State at 25. I know obviously they lost Ashton Genty, but like they're always a pretty solid program. I would have maybe put them a little bit higher. Their quarterbacks returning. Um,
Michigan at 14 is
Tennessee,
really interesting.
Tennessee at 24 after losing their starting quarterback. I guess that's fair. I don't know. Oklahoma at 18. Don't know if I'm buying that this year.
A&M, like who's Texas A&M's quarterback right now? Jacob, I'm looking at their depth chart. Like Jacob Zeno, Marcel Reed, Miles
Oh,
O'Neill,
it's probably Reed. He played against Florida last year. I remember watching him.
Paxton
Um,
Land as a freshman. Yeah, that's another. They have 4 freshmen, a sophomore, and a senior.
Illinois at 12 to start the year is kind of interesting. They
Very,
had a good season, but starting at 12, that puts them in the playoffs. So they're viewed
yeah,
as a playoff team heading into the year.
a lot of continuity there. I think that
Yeah.
helps. They've done a good job recruiting this offseason in the transfer portal.
Brett Bielema is
SMU,
just a good coach, too.
yeah, SMU is really, really interesting because they kind of took the world by storm leading into the playoffs last year and folded, but still had a lot of pieces. I mean, I'm only familiar because there's a lot of Miami people over there, so we'll see what they do. I think, honestly, I think the two teams that are really interesting to keep an eye on based on last year's success are SMU and Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona State obviously lost a big part of their offense, but Levitt, however you pronounce his name, their quarterback,
Yeah.
he's going to be solid for them.
Yep. Let me see if
Michigan at
there's,
14 with a true freshman quarterback starting
yeah,
could be spot on. Might be a little much early on.
a team you don't see in here is USC. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah, they've had a few rough years.
You don't see Florida State in here.
I don't think they won a game last year.
I don't think they're
Florida
going to be that
State
great.
got 8 votes.
Yeah.
BYU was the next team out. Utah after that. Baylor after that. Louisville, USC, Georgia Tech.
hmm ACC
Yeah,
could be kind of interesting this year. There's a lot of
UNLV
those
is
teams.
getting some love now.
Oh, look at Liberty, dude. Liberty got 5 votes. Colorado got all of one.
Yeah, they're going to be rough.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's round out the national topics. I didn't see too much about this. Sean, you added this note in here. UFC agreed to a $7.7 billion deal with Paramount, which means there's no more pay-per-view fights starting in 2026. I feel like the headline's pretty self-explanatory, but is there anything else of note that you noticed from this story?
It's just going to be associated with the Paramount Plus subscription, I believe. And I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. We're starting to see like that's kind of unprecedented here in fighting. I know I don't really follow UFC.
I don't know.
Part of that is just because I'm not going to pay for a fight. I'm not going to go out to watch a fight. But I think with it going on Paramount, I might pay attention a little bit more. So it's fun. It's making it more accessible for fans. It'll probably grow the sport quite a bit, I would imagine. And yeah, just kind of starting to see fighting going into some uncharted waters here. I don't know. I'm sure maybe in the past they did no pay-per-view. Maybe it's always been a thing. I don't know. But yeah, kind of a pretty cool thing they're doing there, and obviously $7.7 billion. Yeah, that works.
And they might have seen like some of their viewership start to drop too, right? Like this could have just been like a strategy move for them, and they just happened to make 7.7 billion in the process. Which, if so, like yeah, well done.
Yeah.
All right, well then let's dive into some Chicago topics now. I think we'll pick up with football because we just ended with quite a bit of football. So we'll let's transition over to the Bears preseason game. So Bears had their first preseason game against the Miami Dolphins. They tied 24-24. Had a chance to win the game. Actually, both teams had a chance to win the game there at the end, and neither one felt like scoring. Sean, I'll let you. I did a lot of talking for the rankings, so I'm gonna let you kind of dive into what you noticed from this game.
Yeah, well, the first thing I noticed is we did not really have any starters playing, which I know you and I talked about a little bit at the time. I disagreed with that. I felt like we should have had some starters out there, most notably on offense. But there were still a few guys that were worth watching that we got to see. Some of the storylines for the Bears was quarterback two competition. We saw both Tyson Bagent and Case Keenum played. I went into the game thinking this is probably Bagent's job to lose. I think he maybe lost that battle on Sunday. Didn't play bad, but also didn't play great. Tyson Bagent went 13 of 19, 103 yards with one touchdown and one interception. Case Keenum came in late, so and he's a guy that's got a lot of starting experience. So he went up against some guys that was probably pretty easy for him. He went 8 for 10, 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I think that goes without saying that Case Keenum maybe took the lead there. If we're going strictly based off of preseason games for who the backup will be, or I should say the first backup will be. I think they'll both be rostered, but it's a matter of where they're going to be on the depth chart. And then kind of we're keeping an eye on Bears running backs. It sounds like Roschon Johnson maybe hasn't been having the greatest camp, so our second running back spot's kind of open, and a lot of people have been excited about Kyle Monangai, the rookie running back out of Rutgers. He definitely came to play on Sunday, had 6 carries for 30 yards. Looked really good. He was fun to watch. He kind of seems like a guy that's shifty. He can make you miss, and he's also not afraid to run you over or run through you. So kind of get a little bit of kind of like an aggressive running style with him, I noticed, which I liked.
Darren Sproles.
So I thought he stood out there. And then other couple guys I was keeping an eye on. Luther Burden had some good catches. He had 2 receptions for 29 yards. Had a nice first down play for the Bears when they were in a 3rd and long situation, and he knew exactly where the sticks were and dove forward to get them. So that was good to see. And then Colston Loveland obviously played sparingly. You pretty much could have claimed he was a starter. I think he only played 1 series, had 1 catch for 8 yards, was targeted twice. The other one wasn't really catchable, so won't fall on him. So those were kind of some of the guys I noticed on offense that stood out. Ja'Day Walker had a touchdown for the Bears. He's an undrafted guy out of Texas A&M. And then Maurice Alexander had the other touchdown reception for the Bears.
He was targeted quite a bit.
Anybody else? Anything that stand out for you offensively?
I totally forgot Devin Duvernay existed. I forgot that we signed him until the preseason game. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. You're another speedy receiver on our roster.
Definitely will be their kick returner.
Yeah, for sure. I think Tyler Scott's days are numbered here, especially with the Duvernay move. Um, one name that I noticed not in a positive way is John Jackson. I think he was actually released from the Bears today too, but he had four
Wow.
targets
Way
and
to rub it in, Kevin.
he had four targets and only caught one of them. Like, dude, your job is to catch balls. He didn't look too great, but I think you hit on a lot of the other ones. Where one name I'll bring up actually, Ian Wheeler came back from a major injury, torn ACL last year. It was on Hard Knocks, very televised. He looked like he still has the speed. He's still got the aggressiveness. He finished with 7 carries for 20 yards. He actually had a reception as well for 14 yards. And then he had a touchdown that was called back because of a holding penalty. I think he looked really nice. Now, the Bears kind of have a crowded running back room. So I don't know where he's going to fit at the end of all of this, but he's definitely helping his positioning, at least after the first preseason game. Do you want me to dive into defensive side of things?
Yeah, go for it.
I'll just get two names. I'll leave the obvious one to you, actually. Ruben Hippolyte finished with 6 tackles, 5 of them solo, had 1 tackle for loss. This is a guy that a lot of people were confused when he was drafted by the Bears, and he just had a lot of size, a lot of speed. He might be a guy that could be all over the place on our defense, and he's still going to have to grow into it. Like, he won't be given a ton of playing time, but I think he could be a really nice special teams guy to start, and then pending some injuries, you could see him on the field. Another guy who's finally starting to put it together, who was all over the place on Sunday, was Noah Sewell.
Yep.
He finished with 6 tackles, 3 of them solo. He also had a tackle for loss. He looks like he's cementing himself as a potential starter for the Bears defense. And honestly, if so, and like you earn that spot, then like that's what we wanted to see from you from the get-go. So I was happy with what I saw from him. And I'll leave
Yeah.
the biggest guy who stood out. I'll leave that to you.
He Sewell is in a unique spot too because this is year 3, I think, maybe year 4. I think year 3. Obviously wasn't drafted by this Bears regime, so he's kind of playing for his future with the team here. And I think he like you mentioned, he's definitely a guy that is earning more playing time with how he performed. So I liked what I saw from him too. I thought he was one of the guys that stood out to me the most. Biggest story on defense, as Kevin mentioned, was Austin Booker, a rotational defensive end for the Bears, had 3 sacks and looked really good. This is kind of a I don't know if prove it year is
For
the right
sure.
way to say it. He's in his second year in the league, I believe. And so he looked really, really good. Was definitely causing havoc in the backfield all game. Now, I will say with caution too, I'm pretty sure he was someone that had a really good preseason last year, and then that did not carry over into the regular season. So while it's good and fun and exciting to see what he did, definitely going to be kind of keeping a close eye on what that looks like once the regular season rolls around. If he is something, that will be huge because the Bears definitely need some pass rush help. It was not a strong point last year. And if we can get reliable plays and snaps and effort out of Austin Booker, that would be pretty big for the Bears.
That's why I think it's a prove it year for him. He did so well last year in the preseason and then didn't show up during the regular season. Obviously, you want to see that continue, right? So, like him playing well in the preseason is great, but how's that going to translate when the regular season actually starts? Anybody you want to talk about on the Miami Dolphins side?
Quinn Ewers looked horrible.
Yeah, dude.
Went against like third and fourth string, maybe guys that won't even make a roster, and he looked terrible.
Mhm.
They took him with like a sixth round pick or seventh round pick, I think. But just for a guy that has that much experience, he went 5 of 18 for 91 yards. That's just not cutting it. But then on the other side, their other rookie, Ollie Gordon, the running back out of Oklahoma State, he had a nice day. He looks pretty good. They obviously lost Alexander Madison to an injury. I believe Madison's out for the year.
Yeah.
So Ollie Gordon stepped up, and now they're maybe like, okay, well, at least we looks like we might have a guy here. So I liked what I saw out of Ollie Gordon as someone that stood out. And then obviously Ewers was someone that stood out for all the wrong reasons.
Yep.
How about you?
I really liked Ollie Gordon too. I thought Quinn Ewers looked horrible. Zach Wilson looked okay. When he played, he looked okay for Miami. Now, again, we didn't have a lot of starters playing, so there's that to be said. I thought the Miami rush as a whole looked really nice. They finished with 100 yards on the day. Ollie Gordon had 33 of those. Achan with 3 carries had 22 of those. Then Jalen Wright from Tennessee, he had 16. Not really a whole lot stuck out as far as like receivers go for them. Other than the fact that like at one point during the game, Taj Washington, it felt like he was targeted for literally every single pass. Like you kept hearing Taj Washington, Taj Washington. So maybe that's a name to keep
Yeah.
an eye on for the Dolphins during the regular season. D. Eskridge was another name. I thought that they were going to feature him a little bit more. He was a speedy first or second round pick out of Western Michigan back in like 2021 or 22. Didn't see a whole lot of him, but um, the the Bears forced a lot of fumbles. They There was 4 fumbles on Miami side of things, and that's something you always want to see. And then defensively for Miami, they've got Kenneth Grant. He played pretty well. This guy I'm only bringing up because he's got such a sick ass name. Storm Duck ended up with 4 tackles on the day, and that's about all I have for the Dolphins. Nothing for you. All right. We are going to move on to previewing the Bears versus the Bills game on Sunday night. Let me see. It looks like 5 o'clock my time, so 7 Central, and it's going to be on Fox, so that'll be nationally televised. Um, I don't know why. I'm a little scared for this one. I'm scared because some starters are going to play. It's Ben Johnson's first game where it's like, okay, you're playing like a real team. Like the Dolphins aren't really that great. You're playing a real team. It's a night game, so we're gonna have a lot of the spotlight on us. And then we have to go up against Mitch Trubisky. So there's that.
Well, we might get Josh Allen.
I don't
You
know who
never
that
know.
is.
But it would be worse to go up against Mitch. Mitch is better than Josh. So I always kind of panic a little bit when the Bears are nationally televised because I'm like,
Yeah,
everyone in the world is watching this team, and
yeah,
those usually don't go well. But
yeah.
I'm excited that starters are playing. As I mentioned, firmly believe they should have played last week just because there are a lot of pre-snap penalties, a lot of communication things that are going on with the offense, and I feel like, yes, you can do that stuff in practice, but in order to really figure it out, you got to get those game reps. That's important too. So I would have liked to see some action in the game against the Dolphins. Obviously, that didn't happen, but now that's changing. So looking forward to that. Hoping it goes well. I'm sure they'll only play for a drive, maybe 2. I don't know, because there's only one other preseason game after this. But looking forward to seeing what the offense looks like. Obviously, they're not going to show a lot, so there really won't be much to read into in terms of what they're running and things like that. Ben's not going to open up the playbook and show his hand here in the preseason. But it'll be nice to see Caleb Williams out there again. Hopefully he makes some good plays. Hopefully the offensive line looks good. That's going to be obviously really important this year. And yeah, I'll be keyed in on watching the offense and seeing what they look like from pre-snap to obviously while the play's going on, just seeing how it looks in a game. There's been mixed reviews of practices this year. A lot of inconsistency, it sounds like. So nervous and excited to see what that looks like on an actual field against a good team like the Bills.
Look, I'll say this. I think you hear mixed reviews from practice because Ben Johnson is finally setting a standard that is higher than we've ever had set before. So even a good practice, he's going to be like, yeah, there were things that we can improve, right? So I think that's a large part of it. I think that Caleb Williams is going to play at most 2 drives, and this is why. The final preseason game, the third and final preseason game, is a quick turnaround. We're going from playing on Sunday against the Bills to a Friday game against the Chiefs, and I think that Caleb Williams is going to get a lot of work against the Chiefs. Probably, if I had to guess, close to a full first half. So I don't think Caleb's going to get a ton of time this weekend because of that, but I think he's going to get a lot of time against the Chiefs. You also have a pretty damn good defensive line that you're going up against. You've got Greg Rousseau, you've got Ed Oliver, you've got Joey Bosa, Matt Milano's in there, AJ Espinoza, so Shaq Thompson. So Buffalo's defensive line could cause a lot of issues for the Bears offensive line, who's still unproven. They're only playing against our own offense or our own defense in practice. So I wouldn't be shocked if you don't see a ton of the starters this weekend, which is a bummer. I want to see him play too, but yeah.
I know we didn't touch on it at all somehow when we talked about the Dolphins game, but obviously another thing I'll be keeping an eye on all preseason is left tackle. What's going to be happening there? Braxton Jones versus Ozzie Trapillo, it seems like, is the battle right now, and Jones looked kind of bad in the game against the Dolphins. Trapillo looked okay. You know, he's a rookie, so obviously you take that with a little bit of grain of salt, and you have a little bit longer leash with a guy like Ozzie Trapillo. But man, that's going to be a big jump going from the Dolphins to the Bills. Assuming I haven't read much about the Bills' plan or if they're playing starters or whatnot. But you know, even their rotational guys, it's a big jump from what they've seen against the Dolphins. So hopefully they can figure it out and find their footing, because if left tackle is going to be a problem, like the offensive line is going to be a problem, and teams are going to plan for that, and it's going to be tough. But
yeah,
we'll see. I'm curious how this is going to look for another week. I don't know. Like I mentioned, I felt Ozzie played better, but I didn't feel great about how Ozzie played either. So a lot left to be desired, a lot to be determined with that position too.
I think that says a lot more bad things about Braxton Jones that Trapillo's that close already as a rookie to taking his job. I think that's pretty alarming for Braxton Jones. There was a really good quote from Dan Rushar. Did you hear it? I think it was today, actually, about Braxton Jones. So this guy's setting the line to a pretty high standard too, which is awesome. Like, I love to see this. I love that coaches are being like, yeah, he played like shit type of mentality. So he basically came out today and said, during training camp, Braxton Jones looked really good. His footwork looked really good. Everything was looking really nice going into the preseason game. He went into the preseason game and actually took a couple steps back. And Dan Rushar actually said that to the media today. And I was like, okay, I can fuck with this. Like, this is good. The fact that you're calling guys out, you're holding guys accountable. We haven't had this in, I don't even know how long, maybe not even my entire lifetime. But to go back to the Bills versus the Bears game, dude, if I'm looking at the depth chart right now, the Bills offense is kind of confusing. It's really interesting. Like, obviously Josh Allen and James Cook, right? But if you look
James
at their
Cook
wide,
did just get paid too.
yeah,
National podcast.
If you look at their wide receiver room, there's a lot of names on here. You're like, oh, you've got Khalil Shakir, who's like their speedy guy. You've got Keon Coleman. Yeah,
I do like Shakir.
Yep, Keon Coleman, big wide receiver on Florida State.
Terrible bust.
You've got Joshua Palmer, who is a great wide receiver for the Chargers. I think he's pretty reliable. And then you've got names like this: Elijah Moore, the wide receiver from the Jets,
Oh,
who
yeah.
didn't really see a lot of opportunity. Curtis Samuel, a veteran wide receiver, great hands. And then a dude like,
At once, Curtis Samuel was going to be a future Bear.
yeah, the whole offseason. And then you've got a guy like Laviska Shenault, who's just kind of like a speedy, shifty type of guy. So like there isn't a wide receiver in their room that like really jumps out on paper, but they've got a lot of like almost like gadget type of guys. So we'll
And
see
they
who.
obviously got Dalton Kincaid too, but he's kind of been a disappointment.
Yeah, Kincaid, you've got Dawson Knox right behind him too.
Mhm.
Reggie Gilliam is their fullback, but um, yeah, man, it'll be really interesting. Their running back room's kind of trash after James Cook. You've got Ray Davis, Ty Johnson, and Darrington Evans, former Bear. Um,
Whoa. Watch what you say about Darrington.
their running back room is, or their quarterback room is really interesting. Josh Allen, you've got Mitch, obviously. Mike White is their third stringer, and then Shane Buechele is their fourth stringer right now. So I don't know, man. Bills are pretty interesting. I think we know they're going to be a high-powered offense. It's just who's going to make a name for themselves this year.
Hey,
Um,
Bears might be on Hard Knocks again. I'm assuming they'll probably get some footage from the game.
oh, true. Yeah, you'll probably see a little bit.
Knowing
Um,
it's the national media, like Caleb will probably go like, we'll call it 4 for 5 for like 98 yards and a touchdown, and he'll get sacked once, and the clip they'll use is him getting sacked.
100%. And they'll talk about how he could have avoided it, and there was a guy wide open. He could have thrown a touchdown.
And then
Uh,
they'll bring up the net. And they'll be like, by the way, here's
yeah,
this clip of him not hitting the net in practice.
yeah, he was punching the net after he got
Yeah.
sacked. Um, let's make a shift here. Let's dive to baseball. There's quite a bit happening here on the South Side with the White Sox, as far as especially prospects go. Biggest name lately for us, Colson Montgomery.
Elvis
This is a
Costello.
guy, I'm going to let Sean do the deeper dive. I'll do the more so like intro part of it. So Colson Montgomery, what year was he drafted? Was he 2021?
I believe so. Let me just pull up his page here, and I can tell you.
Colson
2021.
Yeah,
Yep.
2021. He was drafted 22nd overall. He is 6'3". He's 23 years old. And his first year as a rookie, he dominated the minors, was crushing it. And me and Sean are like, oh my God, he's going to get called up like next week. Followed that up with a couple, like a rough year and a half, and really struggled. He was striking out a lot. And this is a guy that's known for his power, wasn't hitting a ton of home runs. The White Sox did something non-conventional, and what they did earlier this year when he continued to struggle and continued to strike out a lot, they pulled him from their AAA team, sent him to Arizona. I think it was for like a week, and worked with one of their hitting coaches and just put a lot of work in the cage. I don't know if they messed with like his swing at all, but they really wanted to focus on cutting down his strikeouts and just making sure he's getting contact more because he's a power hitter. He hit a 450-foot home run the other day. And it worked out. He came back to the Charlotte Knights and started hitting home runs. Shortly after, gets called up to the White Sox, and this is where Sean enters the conversation. Colson Montgomery in the majors so far. How are things looking?
Looking good. Looking really good. He, as Kevin mentioned, guy that's kind of been a roller coaster of a prospect here. A lot of publications pulled him from top 100 lists. Dropped him down on the White Sox top prospects list, and he kind of started becoming maybe almost like a forgotten about prospect in a sense, but came up with 10 games left in the first half, and he held his own, hit 250, a couple RBIs, 6 walks, 7 strikeouts. But it's been all about the second half and what this guy's done since then. So since the All-Star break, in 23 games, he's hit 10 home runs, 3 doubles, 26 RBIs, has 4 walks and 29 strikeouts. I don't think that includes today's numbers, so he's hitting 235. That might drop a little bit. I don't think he had a hit today, but he just has found a way to just seems like he hits a home run just about almost every night or every other night. And not only is he hitting home runs, some of them are very timely. coming up in big spots and doing some good stuff, which is exciting for seeing that in a prospect that's just getting his first cup of coffee in the majors. He's 23 years old, so obviously still really young, but yeah, he's probably been the Shane Smith being an all-star was a huge storyline given the fact that he was a Rule 5 draft pick. He's the second person ever to make an all-star team, but that kind of got murky because he really tanked heading into the all-star game.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to say Colson's the biggest storyline, but I think it's a 1A, 1B thing here in terms of like positive developments from the White Sox this year. So he's been great, and we're applauding him for what he's done at the plate, but he's made some unbelievable plays defensively too. Now, he's definitely made some errors and made some mistakes, no doubt about that. That's going to happen. They're trying him out at third base a lot. That's a new position for him. I don't think he played third at all in the minors. If he did, he didn't play it in Charlotte. So trying out something new with him. They're kind of getting a feel for where they want to play him defensively, but at shortstop, he's made some amazing plays. He's whether it be quick turns to get a force out or highlight reel plays where he's using his athleticism and covering a lot of ground or diving to make a stop. Like it's not talked about as much, but it's been really exciting seeing him defensively too. And I don't know about you, Kevin, but in my time, I still watch a lot of the White Sox, even though they've been bad. It's not really that they're still record wise they're bad. They're definitely a lot more fun to watch now. I just don't recall a prospect coming up and being this exciting and producing like this that the White Sox have had, and I don't know how long. I feel like we always get guys that get called up and they just suck.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the last name that comes to mind for me, and he didn't even come from the minors, I don't think, was Tadahito Iguchi. He came from overseas and he just kind of dominated as soon as he got to the White Sox. But like, as far as the minors go, man, I can't even think of a name that wasn't a pitcher because we've had a lot of pitchers that have gotten called up that have played really well. But like a position player, and especially, dude, a section of our position players, the infield in general, like second base, shortstop, third base, we've struggled so much with the last like 5 to 7 years, even 10 years. It's been really nice. And you talk about like his power, but like he's also been timely with his hitting, like outside of hitting home runs. He had, I think it was a single that drove in 2 runs in a very timely manner, like when we needed runs.
That gave us the lead, I'm pretty sure.
I think so too. He had a very clutch hit. And if nothing else, this is great for his confidence because that's what he needed and that's what he was struggling with. So I love it. I'm happy he's been playing really well in the majors. I mean, I think you can still cut down on his strikeouts, but like you could say that about a lot of guys in the majors. He's been kind of. Go ahead. He's been kind of like a bright spot for us. I mean, aside from, like some of these other prospects, like, you've still got, oh shit, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. The second baseman with the flowy hair, who's
Chase Meidroth.
Chase Meidroth. You still have Chase Meidroth, who's been a lot of fun this season. And you'll start to see more and more names get called up. Lenyn Sosa has played really well. He's continued to play really well, and he's sucked for a long time. So, like, you've got these guys that like just bring this winning mentality, and the clubhouse looks like they're having a ton of fun. Props to Will Venable for providing like that type of atmosphere for the clubhouse too. But like, it feels fun to watch Sox games again, and I think it's 2 parts. It's Will Venable. But it's also these young prospects who are coming in and they don't give a shit. They just want to win games, regardless how that is.
Yeah. You got guys like Edgar Caro, who's been up for a bit. He's hitting really well. He's just been pretty consistent. And granted, he did go through a little bit of a cold stretch recently. But again, I don't think these stats factor in today's game. But he's hitting 275, 4 home runs, 29 RBIs, 14 doubles. Kyle Teal's starting to get more playing time, and he's been good. I like him a lot. 268 for him, 7 doubles, 2 home runs, 13 RBIs. You got a guy like Curtis Mead, who we just got from the Tampa Bay Rays.
I was going to say this.
Granted, a really small sample size that he's been over here in Chicago, but hitting 259 with 5 RBIs in 8 games with the White Sox. So, like, he's starting to produce. Miguel Vargas, he's been really good this year. I think he's kind of given himself a few years of okay, let's really see what we got here. He's been great. He's been exciting. And then it's not just, I'll name a few more hitters here, but obviously one important thing I think we should talk about too, that was a huge storyline heading into the trade deadline, was the White Sox getting Luis Robert. He has lit the world on fire heading into the trade deadline and after the fact. The dude was hitting below 200 forever. Now his batting average is up to 220. He is actually looking like a guy that maybe they're going to actually keep for 2 years now and pick up those options. Like, he's playing really well. Mike Tauchman's been solid all year. Yeah. And then what I was going to get into is it's not just on the hitting side where we're having some of these young guys that are exciting too. Shit, I got to find pitching stats now.
Well, while you're doing that, one thing I wanted to bring up is, like, Sean mentions a lot of these prospects that are coming up. Kyle Teal's another one coming up and playing well. We went from last year, we had like guys that we were excited about, like Corey Lee. You got Tim Elko. You've got Brian Ramos. Like, we gave up on Lenin Sosa, if we're being honest with ourselves. And now, like, you've got these young guys like me and Sean have talked a lot about, who are actually coming up and like showing that they're here to stay. And I think a lot of it has to do with like the attitude that these kids have, but also like you've got guys like Mike Tauchman, you've got guys like Michael A. Taylor that are providing a lot of really, really good veteran support for these younger guys. I think Michael A. Taylor, honestly, is one of the most underrated signings we've had this entire year because he's played well for us, but I think he's also just been a really, really solid clubhouse guy. I mean, just the last 7 games, he's hitting 286.
As someone that watches the Twins every now and then because I'm in their market, they had him a few years ago too, and he was like the same role for them. Like, he just catches on with teams. He provides veteran leadership. Plays if he doesn't give you anything with his bat, he plays great defense. Like, he's a really good, really underrated guy that the White Sox have right now, and it sounds like he might not be the most vocal guy, but when he talks, a lot of the kids listen too, which is good.
I'll let you go with pitching.
But yeah, I was going to say, so in terms of young guys, like, it's not just hitters that the White Sox have some guys that you look at and you're like, okay, maybe we got something here. Like, maybe these guys will be around for a few years and we might be looking at something here. Obviously, I mentioned Shane Smith. He was an all-star. They're going to give him every opportunity to look at potentially being a top of the rotation arm, or maybe if some of these other guys like Schultz and Smith and Tanner McDougal or whoever, if they come up and they're looking like studs, then okay, maybe Shane Smith slides back to like a 3 where he'd be a great fit too. So we got Shane Smith, who's pitching really well. Davis Martin, he was hurt for a bit. He's been a really, really solid pitcher for us. I like what we got in him. He's a little bit older. He's 28, so he might not fit into the picture for the long term, but like, obviously we got to get from point A to point B. And if we need some guy that can eat innings, give you consistent outings, he's like a guy that could possibly provide that for the White Sox. Or if they trade him and they're still looking to maybe add some pieces for down the line, it's a guy that can probably get you something decent as a trade chip. So he's another guy. Like, Sean Burke's had a few rocky outings, I think, relatively recently, but he's definitely turned it around this season from when he was getting shelled early on. He's 114 innings pitched, 107 strikeouts, 4.26 ERA. Could be a lot worse. To put that into perspective, Shane Smith's at a 4.22. That's probably not updated. I know he pitched today and pitched great. He won 5 shutout innings.
He's at 4.01.
And then maybe one of the most surprising guys this year is Mike Vasil, who they also got out of the Rule 5. They didn't draft him, but acquired him from the Mets. 2.53 ERA, he's gone 78 innings, 59 strikeouts, 42 walks, little bit too much for my liking, but he's been a guy that really couldn't find his place in baseball heading into this year, and now he's a guy that's pitched in high leverage situations for the White Sox. So you got a guy that you might look at for holding that role down the line, or he's made starts for the White Sox. He's pitched 4 innings of relief for the White Sox, and he's finding success in all these different avenues. So it's like, you got a guy like, if you trade someone like Davis Martin, or you don't have a guy like Martin Perez coming back, but you don't necessarily have someone to fill that role, well, maybe you look at a Mike Vasil and stretch him out to be a starter again. But either way, like, I don't know. I maybe wouldn't tinker with what he's doing because he's been great this year. So maybe just keep him in the bullpen. But he's been good. Grant Taylor's come up and looked really good.
That could be a guy that could fill in as a starter if some of these other names go elsewhere.
It's a really short sample size, but the Garrett Crochet trade looks unbelievable. Winkleman Gonzalez has come up and done some good things. Only 8 innings in the majors, but he's looked good out there. So I've been saying this about the White Sox, and you touched on it. Like, they are definitely a lot more fun to watch. We all just went through this whole rebuild shit before where we thought we were going to be so good for so long, and we got this group of prospects where we're going to be on top of baseball for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And obviously that didn't work out, but these kids feel a little different. And I'm not going to say different in the sense of it's going to be guaranteed to be better than what we had before, but these kids actually look like they give a shit and they really care about baseball. They try hard. They really want to be a part of the group that turns things around for the White Sox. And as a result, it's fun to watch them. Now, do they have some games where they get shelled? Absolutely. That's going to happen. The team record-wise, overall, still not great. But they also got games where they come out and they surprise people. I mean, there was a moment out of the All-Star break where we were one of the, if not the hottest team out of the gates, and we were just winning series against the Phillies, looking good, a few games against the Cubs, and just they were playing well against teams that have like playoff aspirations, and it was like, okay, like if you squint hard enough, you can look at this White Sox team and say they got something that they can build upon. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this season. You know, I think we've maybe even mentioned it before where it's like, I don't care if they lose every game. If I can look at that team and say, I like him, I like him, I like him, let's keep him. These guys can stick around here for the future and maybe we'll have something in a few years. And that's the best situation. I feel like that's what we're kind of starting to really get a look at here with the team.
And it's not embarrassing baseball, right? Like there's a term that's thrown around for like football teams. I know Barstool guys talk about it a lot, where a team is described as like not good, not bad, but feisty. And that's how this team feels, is they just feel like they're just a feisty team. You don't know what you're going to get from them. 2 names you didn't bring up that I'm going to talk about. I talk a lot about like veteran support. And I think that that's so important when you have a lot of younger guys in your clubhouse who are expected to be like quote unquote leaders. Tyler Gilbert. This dude's got a 3.13 ERA with the White Sox. He's been pitching phenomenal lately for us. I mean, if you look at his last 30 games, where is it at? His ERA is a 3.34. His last 15 games, 3.18. Like, he's having a great year for us and filling in certain spots that we need a lot of help and support with when it comes to the bullpen. So Tyler Gilbert's looked really nice. And then one guy that should look good, but he does, is Steven Wilson. He's had a pretty good track record of success over the course of his career as a relief pitcher. He's pitched phenomenal for us this year. It's a little bit of a small sample size. You've only got 41 innings pitched right now, but he's got a 2.81 ERA. So Steven Wilson's looked really nice for us. And it just seems like next year, I don't think is going to be the year that it all comes together, right? But like you're starting to have that conversation of like, okay, who else is going to insert themselves? Who's going to be potentially like the second, third shortstop of the future? Obviously, we feel like we have an idea that Miguel Vargas is going to be the first baseman of the future, but then like you look at our outfield. What is our outfield going to look like long term? And you can start to insert some of these guys into that conversation, which we could never do before. Like I said before, we were excited about guys like Corey Lee, about guys like Tim Elko and Brian Ramos. And I'm sure we talked about like somebody like Brooks Baldwin, who's been pretty solid for us, but like as a role player.
Yeah.
Um, and now we actually have guys. It's like, okay, yeah, you're not just like a flash in the pan like conversation. You're actually a guy that like could be part of our future, and that's why White Sox fans are excited right now. Last thing I you put in here, I think is a really interesting conversation, and it is on the topic of the White Sox. Did the
Can't
White
do
Sox?
everything right.
You know what though? All things considered, it was the right thing. And even if it's the
Yes.
right thing for him versus the right thing for the organization, so be it. Sean put in here, did the White Sox win the Andrew Vaughn trade? And I think everybody who knows how hot Andrew Vaughn's been lately is going to be quick to tell you no. I feel like you're probably right. Aaron Savali hasn't been all that great for us. He's been decent, not all that great.
We got him to trade him, and he couldn't even be traded.
Yeah. And Andrew Vaughn has just kind of been lighting the world on fire for Milwaukee. I'm trying to.
I've been hate checking their box scores, wondering when this is going to stop.
He just hit another home run last night. He's got okay. So for Milwaukee, he is hitting 340. He's got an on base of 404, a slugging of 630. He's got 8 home runs, 32 RBIs. He actually has 11 walks. Wow. 17 strikeouts, and he's been timely hitting for them pretty well too. So I think Milwaukee probably won this one.
Yeah, they did. And the craziest part about Andrew Vaughn, I'm looking at Baseball Reference, but I know it's in Fangraphs. It's the same too. Not the exact same numbers, but same end result. He's been worth 1.3 wins above replacement in 27 games for Milwaukee, which is a lot, but his season total is still in the negative for wins above replacement. That's just how bad he was with the White Sox this year.
Dude, wow.
Did Milwaukee unlock something with Vaughn? Maybe a little bit. There's no way he's going to keep up this pace, though. This is just not who he's been. And this is his 5th year in the MLB. But if he turns the corner and is pretty decent, like good for Milwaukee, they kind of need deals like these every now and then. But yeah, that team's just been rocking and rolling, and he's been a big part of it.
Look, next season is Andrew Vaughn's probably biggest season of his entire career. Like he can finish out hot this year, but if he doesn't play well next year, his career's pretty much shot. It's been really entertaining. It's been funny to watch. And like the fun part about it is like he's at least on a team that's in the same division as the Cubs. So like, he's doing damage against the Cubs. So that part's kind of fun, but yeah, when you look back at the trade, you're like, okay, that's probably going to be a rough one for the White Sox in the long run. But yeah, I mean, good for him, man. I mean, he was the best hitter of his draft, hands down. Like there was no question. Andrew Vaughn had the best bat in his draft going into draft day, and didn't work out for the White Sox, and maybe the Brewers, found a hidden gem here. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up today?
That's all I got. Brains unloaded with takes.
Okay, we were due. It was a while. I think we probably took about a month off. All right, well, that's it, y'all. Me and Sean haven't decided if we're going to do this weekly again with preseason or if we're going to continue bi-weekly for a little bit, but we'll be back soon either way. So, as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned on when the next episode is, and we'll see y'all later.